Hey everyone, so welcome back to another cooking tutorial with me, Corey. Here is the recipe for today's dish. It's a chicken and bacon Parmigiana with spiced potatoes and a celery slaw. It's a really easy dish to make, and the spice mix makes it even better. So I've added the ingredients into the spice mixes, and you just put them all together and you'll be able to see in a second just how I've done it. So you can see there the smoked paprika one and the vegetable stock mix, or you can use chicken stock. Well, I've used chicken stock in this one. And you can see I've got all my ingredients out ready to go. And now we're going to go straight into it with creating the slaw. So I've already pre-sliced the cabbage because everybody knows how to slice a cabbage, and I've just put it into a bowl. And I'm finally slicing up the celery. When you make it fine, it's going to add the flavour, but without adding that really coarse texture, because you have that nice soft crunchy cabbage, but then you have this very crunchy celery. So we're chucking that in. And then we're going to go straight into our next ingredient, which is the spinach. So just got some baby spinach out of the fridge. We're going to slice that nice and finely. So I'm just bunching it all up, and then I'm just running the knife straight through it to make it all nice and fine. So it should be the same size as your cabbage. So then your cabbage and your spinach are the same size, so you're not getting real big chunks of either or throughout your coleslaw. Just remembering to tuck your fingers back as you're slicing, and just running that knife all the way through. And now we're just chucking it straight into the bowl, and I'm going to put that aside because I don't want to add the dressing to it now, otherwise the spinach will wilt and your cabbage will go soft. So we do that last, just before you go to eat. So we're just tossing it quickly, making sure it's all incorporated or even distributed right throughout. And now I go and put this in the fridge. I just cover it and put it in the fridge, and then we can just save that until we're ready to serve. Now we're going to head on to our potatoes, because these need to be roasted. So we're just chopping these up into nice bite-sized pieces. We don't want them too big, and we want them all of even size, so then they cook evenly. So they're all around the same size. And then we've got 2 potatoes for about 2 people. So it's, this one I'm cooking here is for 2 people, for me and my sister here at home during lockdown. And see how I'm just keeping my fingers tucked back, so then the knife doesn't have any chance to nick my fingers at all. Just put some baking paper onto my oven tray. I'm just going to put our potatoes straight onto it. And then these just get spread out on the tray, and then we just drizzle it with a little bit of oil. So you can use any flavoured oil that you want. Today I'm using a little bit of canola, as we ran out of our rice bran oil the other day. So canola was the choice of oil for today for me. And then we've got our smoked paprika mix that I've got in the recipe. And there are 2 different groups in the recipe. There is one with smoked paprika, and then I've separated the other one into the chicken stock or vegetable stock mix. And this is just to season our potatoes and coat them so then they're nicely flavoured and have a little bit of seasoning on them. I've also put salt and pepper into the spice mix, so then I don't need to season it again once I've coated with seasoning. Just making sure that they're all evenly spread out, so they cook evenly throughout the oven. And you don't want them bunching up too much, otherwise they'll steam and they'll start to go soft rather than get crunchy. And we want that crunchy texture on our potatoes. Here I've just gone to go wash my hands so I can put it into the oven. Here we go, putting our potatoes into the oven. I'll put them in the lower rack, just so then they wouldn't cook too fast. Here I've already battered out my chicken, so I just use a pot because I don't have a mallet, and then I've just hit them between 2 pieces of Glad wrap, and then they've gone nice and flat. So I've got my 2 pieces of chicken, which is just half of a chicken breast battered out. And now we're going to penne or crumb our chicken breast, and I've just got that stock seasoning inside with my flour, so I've heavily seasoned the flour so it gives a real good flavour into our chicken before we even go to season it after it's been cooked, even once we put the sauce and the bacon on the top. So penne is to add flour onto our chicken, so then the egg actually sticks to the flour, and then once it goes into the egg we put it into the crumbs, so then the crumbs stick onto the egg. And then once that's done we put it onto a clean plate, and then we put it into the fridge just to let the egg soak into the crumbs, so then they stick really good onto our pieces of chicken. And I think I only filmed 1 piece of the chicken just because, as you can tell, it's taking quite a while just for me to crumb 1 piece with a little bit of crumbs, because I don't want to waste all the breadcrumbs, so I just used a little bit. And I've actually got a mixture of panko crumbs as well as just some plain breadcrumbs that we had in the cupboard. And I actually used 2 eggs because I saw that the chicken breasts were quite large, so I used 2 eggs instead of 1. So you can add eggs, so you can do 1, and then if you need another you can crack another one, but I used 2 and it worked out quite well. And just with that seasoning and the flour mix, you can see that there was hardly any flour compared to the seasoning, so it's quite heavily seasoned, but it's going to give you great flavour for your chicken. I've just got some parsley leaves that I'm just going to run my knife through. This doesn't need to be too fine. I've just bunched up the leaves, and then I push the leaves against the knife as it runs past, and just using my knuckles to protect my fingers. And I just quickly run the knife through again just to chop it up a little bit more, and then that's our chopped parsley ready to go on top of our Parmigiana. Right, I sped this one up. We've got some bacon and some oil inside our pan. I put a little bit of extra oil in just to help release the fat and the bacon flavour into the pan, because what we're going to do is we're going to cook our bacon quickly first, and then we're going to take it out of the pan and we're going to use the same pan to add that bacon flavour into our chicken. So then once we cook our chicken and put our chicken in, it's going to absorb that extra oil that's inside the pan and absorb the flavour. I also didn't cook the bacon too much because you don't want it too crunchy, because you want to have a little bit of softness when you're eating your chicken, because your chicken's going to be crunchy and you don't want to have crunchy bacon on top, because it's going to get a little bit soggy anyway once we put the sauce on top of it. So what I did is I chopped the chicken in half because I noticed they were quite big, and just for presentation wise as well. So this is on about a medium to high heat, because you want to cook the chicken while also crisping the breadcrumbs without burning it. So you don't want a very dark colour on your Parmigiana, because they are going to go back into the oven. Here we are just checking on our potatoes, making sure they're okay, getting nice and crispy, getting cooked. And we're back to the pan, and it's time to flip our chicken. And as you can see, it's a nice golden brown colour because we've managed the heat. We didn't make sure it was like a really intense heat at the start, so as you gradually cook, there's going to be more and more heat coming through, so you'll see a little bit more colour on the next ones. But these ones are perfect, they're golden brown. The chicken is cooked all the way into the middle, so you can actually see where on the edge, where my tongs were just there, that it's actually cooked right through. So here we go, we're going to go and start putting the bacon, the cheese, the parsley, the Parmesan cheese and the sauce on top. So first of all, we put our bacon on because we want our bacon to be locked onto the chicken fillets or the chicken breasts that we battered out and crumbed. So I've just spread the chicken evenly over each one. And that bacon flavours all the way through thanks to the extra fat that was in our pan, and also the just putting it on top. Now I didn't remove the rind because the rind was actually nice and cooked through, so it's not going to be chewy. Now we're putting the parsley on. Parsley's just for decoration. It also adds a little bit of flavour in there. We're just evenly spreading out the parsley over each one of those portions. So next is our sauce. Our sauce is like our binder. It's going to bind the bacon to our Parmesan fillet. And this one's just a pasta sauce out of a jar. And you can also get tomato puree as well. And then you can add some little bits to it. Bring it up to the heat. Add some spices to it. Some little bit of herbs. Otherwise you can just use it straight as tomato. Once all the sauce is on, we're going to go on with our cheddar cheese. So you can use mild Edam cheese or just any old cheese, melting cheese that you've got. And this is already pre-grated, this one. Otherwise you can grate the cheese from the block and just evenly spread it out over each one. And then we just top it off with a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese, and you can get that at New World. It's a little bit expensive, but you don't need it. But it's sort of in the name of the dish, so you sort of have to grab some Parmesan cheese for this one. It also gives a great flavour. Now once those have been topped with everything, they go into the oven. And I put it at the oven because the roast vegetable is almost done, as you can see. And then we just want that cheese to melt through. We want to sort of finish cooking if you have any big pieces of chicken left, and just making sure that it's all coming out at the same time. So I've got my coleslaw out of the fridge, and I've just added some mayo to it. And I thought I had added enough mayo, but as I was mixing, I was like, oh no, it needs a little bit more just to bind it together. So I added a little bit more, and then yeah, it was perfect. And just before I did this, I had added some seasoning into the salad. Just some salt and pepper here. Just needed a little bit more. Now it's time for plating. So everything's almost ready to come out the oven, so I'm going to plate our coleslaw onto the plate first. Just pushing it down so it holds its shape. The potatoes are nicely golden brown now, very soft on the inside and a little bit crunchy on the outside, and well nicely seasoned. So I'm just going to put these next to the plate. So you grab a little bit at a time. You don't want to grab too many, otherwise it might ruin the presentation of your plate. And you don't want to add little splatters everywhere all over your plate, otherwise it's extra cleaning, and it can leave oil marks on your plate. So next we got our Parmigiana. It's all ready to go. All the cheese is nicely melted. I just grab it out and I stick it straight on the top. You can even push it down into your little bit of coleslaw there, and that will just lock it in place. I made a little bit of garlic aioli. It's just mayonnaise and some roasted garlic. And I just seasoned it with a little bit of salt and pepper. But that's the final dish. And since we made it, we got to taste it. I made this one for lunch for me and my sister. So yeah, let's see. Yep, and it's Corey approved. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you next time.